anxious partners fight for too much closeness in the relationship, and avoidant partners fight for too much distance. Of course, this creates a lot of tension, but still they're drawn to each other like magnets, and I'll explain why that is later. But for now, just know that anxious partners, for them, distance on a very nervous system level is permanent. When people go away, they might never come back. Something bad might happen to them when they're not in my sight, or I'm not really good enough to begin with, and in the distance they're going to realize that, and then it feels final. And then the fear of emotional distance sounds like, if my partner needs space or is mad at me or doesn't want to help me in a given moment, they just don't love me anymore, and they'll just never want to show up for me again. And then that triggers old feelings of pain and the potential for more of it in the future, and there's self-work to do here. But the relationship problem here is that how they try to relieve the fears. Their nervous system say, close the relationship distance at all cost with clinging or angry protest, and those behaviors are trying to say, don't go away, come back, or please just help me so I don't feel alone in this. And these behaviors, while understandable, end up making the relationship unsafe. Now, for avoidant attachment, it's too much closeness they fear, because for them, closeness just means permanent loss of self, which sounds like they want more from me than I have to give. Their needs are too much. I'm losing myself. I have to override my needs to keep them happy. And then closeness for them also brings feelings of failure, because they associate messages that they're failing with a loss of self-worth. And we all need to see ourselves as worthy to feel safe in relationships. So if they feel like they're failing their partner, they'll regulate the very real pain in that moment by pulling away from the relationship, because the relationship itself is triggering the fear of losing the relationship. But then when they go away, they can find temporary relief in activities that help them feel successful and regain their sense of self, or at least numb the pain for a while. But they can't completely turn off the need for closeness with their partner. They love their partner, and the loneliness eventually finds them, and they come back around. And then in that, they're sending mixed messages, which is relationship behavior that doesn't work. And again, there's self-work to do here, but it's not just the fear that's the problem. It's how they're trying to relieve it. So they're each managing their fears in ways that trigger each other's fears. And in part 2 of this series, I'll explain why this actually, in a really twisted up way, attracts them to each other in spite of the pain. And then in part 2, I'll explain what healing looks like. And if you want even more help, my heart is in helping all couples stop triggering each other and find the real closeness that they both deserve. And I created this just for that. But for now, stay tuned for part 2.